what is the, as I mentioned at the beginning, we have the privilege to have with us Mr. Andreas Rutger, who is the head of sector within the unit B3, which is what I mentioned, the unit related to the OCTs exclusively, and it's forming part of the DG, the Directorate General for International Partnerships. And Mr. Rutger, he is the person in charge and managing with his team within the unit, and the external consultancy team he will introduce later. This youth OCT Youth Network that is has been released a few weeks ago, and for which you will know how to apply to become one of the 25 selected young representatives. So thank you, Andreas, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Pablo, and good afternoon, everybody. Great pleasure to be with you here. And thank you for OCTA to invite us to the Youth Days, to give us the opportunity to share with you some exciting news. So I'm very happy to be here with you today. And the purpose of our session is to introduce you to a new exciting initiative for young peoples in the overseas countries and territories, which the European Commission has just launched. And that is the OCT Youth Network. My name is Andreas Rutger. As mentioned already, I work in the Directorate General for International Partnerships, and that is the Directorate General which basically covers the cooperation with all third countries other than those which are in the vicinity of the European Union. And we work with governments, we work with NGOs, the private sector, and increasingly with youth. I am joined today by my colleague, Max Fraß, who is the expert in charge of implementing the OCT Youth Network initiative. If we can go to the next slide, Max. So
maybe not. Today, sorry, PowerPoint thinks otherwise. I cannot move the slides. That's a good start.
Okay.
Okay. Is this moving?
Yeah, and I think now we have it. Yes, it's good. And
okay.
So
okay. Yeah.
Today and tomorrow are important days for you because you will learn about new opportunities. But more generally, this year is important for youth because it's the year of the youth, at least the European year of the youth. So this is what the European Commission came up with, and 2020, so the European year of the youth. And indeed, youth is taking more and more place as a key priority of our work, in particular within DG INTPA. We are increasingly engaging with young people, and we are implementing initiatives to listen to young people and foster contributions to sustainable development and positive social change. So you, the next generation, so to say, are really at the heart of our work. We engage with young people all over the world. And importantly, now we want to reach out more also to the youth in the overseas countries and territories. And the next slide, please.
Okay, it seems that every single time this happens, I have to reset the slideshow. I really apologize for this, but okay, fine. That should be on now.
Max, sometimes it works best if you share your screen, or if you versus sharing just the PowerPoint, just as a tip that we've learned.
Sorry, but I am sharing my screen. Sorry, what do you mean?
That is, so now you're sharing just the PowerPoint presentation, but you can also choose to share your screen.
The entire screen. Okay, I might try
and for
that.
us it works better.
Okay, that's a lesson learned from this session. Let me just see. 1 second. Share screen. Okay, so let me just check. You should now
We see you well, and now we see the screen very soon. Yeah, that looks good.
Okay, let's see if that's better. Okay.
Excellent. And this is just one other test why we need you, the young generation, so much. No? We get lost in all these IT appliances. Now, what is the OCT Youth Network? I just give a very brief overview, and then Max will go much more into detail. Please, one moment with that slide, please. So it will be a network of 25 young people from the 13 OCTs. No? And the box on the left, you have them, and you will recognize your own OCT there. And you should be aged between, no, please, wait a moment. So you should be.
I'm afraid that PowerPoint lives a life of its own. I am not in charge of this, but I'll try to leave it where it is.
It has its own intelligence artificially. So, and you should be between 20 and 28 years of age. That is how we define youth. It could be younger, could be older, and you still feel young. Anyhow, what we want through this network is to really offer you a unique learning experience, to introduce you to the EU-OCT Partnership that unites us, and to give you the opportunity to create links, very importantly, with other young people from the OCT families, so from the other OCTs, but also in mainland Europe. For this reason, we really encourage you to apply and join this network. It is a unique and potentially a transformative experience for young people from the OCTs. Now I would like to hand over to Max, who will more in detail present the initiative and, importantly, how to apply for it. Feel free to ask us questions along the way. That is what we are here for. And hope to see some of you again in the context of the OCT Youth Network. Thank you. Max, over to you.
Okay, let's see. Thank you very much. Apologies for the technical difficulties. Let's see if PowerPoint now feels more obliged to move that it's talking to a single screen, so to speak. Can you see the slide with the aims of the network? What it aims to achieve? Yep. Yeah. Okay, great. And let's hope it moves along. I also have the added benefit of having my 3-year-old son and his hamster invading the room from time to time. So please be prepared for sort of special effects during this presentation. But I'll focus on what the network is, what it aims for, and who is it for. So it aims at increasing the ties between young people living in the OCTs and the EU. So you can see that the aims are closely aligned with what OCTA does, and to enhance the knowledge and involvement of young people in the EU-OCT partnerships in its various aspects. It's there for young people from the 13 OCTs, and it's about enhancing their cooperation and dialogue with the institutions and decision makers. Oh, here we go again. It just moves by itself. Now, it's what we want it to be is an opportunity to deepen the understanding about each other, so the deepen the understanding about the EU and the OCTs, and also about OCTs in EU institutions, and to project an OCT youth perspective to inform EU-OCT partnerships in a spirit of co-creation. So we would like young people to be in a co-creation position within the network, and also to co-decide and co-create on what it does, and to create links with other youth initiatives at regional and country level, including in the EU and member states. Those were the objectives of the network. Now, to tell you a little bit about why is it that it's worth joining. So it's all about learning, preparing, engaging, and participating in co-leading activities with other OCT peers and other actors. It will be a learning opportunity to discover the EU-OCT partnership and to engage with EU political leaders and other key actors in the EU. It will be an opportunity to meet and network with other like-minded young people and with key EU actors, broadening young people's personal and professional networks and horizons. And finally, in the spirit of co-creation, an opportunity to shape the network and contribute to the activities and co-selecting priorities and topics to be addressed. And I'll go through them next. So what are the activity highlights? And we're looking at what is it that's going to happen throughout the year. It's a one-year mandate, right? So we're looking for a group of young people who, within their mandate, will take part in several facilitated dialogue sessions with top EU political leaders, to visit the EU delegations or offices in their OCTs or the nearest offices they can work with, to engage in 4 online webinars to deepen the knowledge and the competences members of the network, and last but not least, perhaps to participate in a study visit to Brussels to explore functioning of the European institutions. So as you see, most of the activities of the network will be of online nature. So there's facilitated dialogue, online webinars, just several. So the visits to EU delegations, but this will depend very much on the conditions in the location, and the study visit to Brussels, that will be very much about traveling to a single location and for all young people to meet. Now, what are the highlights in terms of the format? So it's mostly virtual meetings, allowing everybody to join and participate besides other engagements. So the network is an opportunity for young people who are already in education, training, civil society, some form of activism, and would like to do something together with the other young people in other OCTs and with EU institutions. To make it clear that all costs covered related to joining activities will be provided, and there will be financial compensation for contributions and inputs, but it's not a paid engagement as such. I already mentioned co-creation, so I'll just mention that there will be also an opportunity to expand knowledge and network with other actors, because we're going to have the webinars and the thematic events that will then be sort of co-created, and themes will be selected by young people themselves. What is it that the network will be doing over the next couple of months? So we're looking at the start of the mandate in July 2022. So I'll explain the selection process shortly as well. So once the network kicks off, start of the mandate, welcome introductory meeting, setting up a collaborative work and communication platform, and agreeing what are be the key activities that the network will engage in. A webinar on the EU and EU-OCT Partnership, again online, and in October, the study visit to EU institutions in Brussels, covering five days. So you can see that this is quite a lot of time to visit the various institutions based in Brussels, and for young people to meet with those EU officials and policymakers that work with OCTs, work with young people in the various areas that they also identify. Now, in November and December, there'll be further opportunities for exchange. The topics are to be decided by young people themselves. Some communication activities starting 2023 to share experiences as an OCT Youth Network member. Further webinars with topics to be defined. Digital other organizations or youth networks, for example, the European Youth Forum, or anything that the members of the network will want to prioritize. And then again, in the spirit of co-creation, by the end of the mandate, it would very much like the members of the first batch or the first iteration of the network to then provide support in selecting new members and helping onboarding them and sort of passing on the baton to the next batch. Now, maybe moving on without too much detail, what is the overall engagement level? So again, it's not a full-time commitment. It's, let's say, about 17 days throughout the one-year mandate, including 5 days for the Brussels visit. So if you take out the Brussels visit of 5 days, it's more or less 1 day a month that we would like members of the network to be engaged. So for the various forms of contribution and inputs and meeting key actors and the online events that will be organized. And again, financial compensation is to be foreseen for days and contribution to be made. What about eligibility and selection? I guess that will be of interest to our audience here. So we're looking for young people between the age of 20 to 28. We're looking at young people with a good command of English. There's no formal requirement for this, but we just want them to be able to engage in spoken interaction. So it's not about grammar, it's not about writing, it's about participating in those online and in-person meetings. How are we going to select candidates? Now we're going to look at several criteria, and I'll cover them in more detail soon, but it's about the link to OCTs, it's about motivation, and about experience. Now, what about the selection timeline? So we've already launched the call, and some of you might have seen it. It was launched on May 11. The deadline is the 3rd of June. And we would like everybody to first of all, when they apply, to register on EU survey, of course, but then also to check for an email confirmation. Once you've received an email confirmation, you can be assured that your application has been duly received and will be processed. The selection process will go in 2 stages. The first stage will be about informing candidates who have been shortlisted for interviews. That will be by June the 10th, and between June the 15th and 29th, we'll be interviewing those candidates who've been shortlisted, and the final results will be released in early July. All of this is on the website of the call. Now, what about the application form? Now, as I said, we do not have a formal requirement of any kind, not language, not education. We collect obviously the basic information about you, so name, surname, email, date of birth, gender, citizenship, and your place of residence. We're looking at educational background, but just as a marker of diversity in the group, just to check what educational backgrounds are represented. Your professional experience, so what is your work experience, position, and years that you've spent working there. Which overseas country or territory do you wish to represent? And well, again, this link will be defined in a sort of qualitative way. So you don't have to live there currently. You can be from Curacao, living in the EU, as long as you have a link or by nationality, residence, education, employment, civil society engagement, or other form of cooperation or activism with the OCT, you're eligible to apply. We'll just ask you to describe it and explain it in about 1,000 characters. And I will also ask you about your motivation and contribution. Again, this is not very prescribed. It's basically about why is it that you think that you're the right person to join. What would you like to contribute and what would you like to gain from the experience? And also about your current engagement. So are you engaged in your local community, either where you live or in the OCT, if it's not the same place? And what are your experiences in current engagement, volunteering, activism, active participation, etc. Now, the application form, as briefly explained, so first you apply online, then if we need any additional documents just to check and confirm your identity, we'll let you know, but this is on a selected basis, not from everyone. Then we will hold interviews in late June and possibly also draw up a reserve list of candidates if need be, and then communicate the results to the final group of network members in early July. There is also a contact email here, and again, you can by now probably Google the announcement as well. But OCTA colleague will provide the link to the application form that's on the INTPA website. I'm sorry for the rush presentation. I was told we should leave ample time for questions, so I decided not to go into a lot of detail into every aspect of it.